size 2 Tintoretto. And I appear to have misplaced it in my office, which is quite annoying because I don't have another size 2 round brush in synthetic squirrel. And I don't know where it's gone. It's a 4. It's a 6. An 8. That's a 4. Where has my 2 gone? Ah, there it is. There it is, there it is, there it is. I have too many brushes up. But whatever. So, Mom this morning was an absolute gem and has pulled the proper Tiny Trees Christmas cards palette, which I didn't want to do because it was going to take me hours to do and probably give me a headache. I think it took her like 45 minutes. And then I just had to go up and find a couple that were missing, which was much better. So I have like 3 days left of making panels. My goal is to be done panels by Wednesday so that I can glitter them on Thursday and then cut. No, I want to glitter Wednesday. I want to cut Thursday and I want to mat them on Friday. That's the current plan. So for this first one, we're going to do my favorite type of card in this style, which is just going in palette order. It's always fun. So let's grab some water and a flat brush. I am 3 panels deep this year. In a perfect world, I want 6 done, which is like another 6-ish hours of painting. It's more like 5.5. I don't know that I've got that much painting time in the next 3 days. We will find that out. I wish somebody made a good flat travel brush. Nobody makes a good flat travel brush. So, let's start this. That's not a straight line. Whatever. So the goal is that I'm done panels in like 3 days. Because I need to glitter them. I still need to cut them down. I still need to mat them on actual cards. And I don't like being rushed. I don't want to be doing this come Friday. In a perfect world, I want to be done this long before Friday. I also need to decide if I'm selling any pens this weekend. Somebody asked if I was going to have pens for sale at my booth this weekend. So I guess I need to decide if I'm destashing pens, and if so, which pens are potentially being sold this weekend. So I might base it off of if I get anything on Fountain Pen Day. I don't know that I'm going to, but some years Atlas has quite good doorbusters, and there are a couple things that are currently in their doorbusters section but aren't in stock that I have been looking at for a while. So we'll see if anything comes home with me. I doubt it. but you never know. I just put my hand in water. I am so glad that I finally got these colors pulled, / mom pulled these colors. They look so much, they're just more vibrant than the 31 Purple Fish paints. I like the 31 Purple Fish paints, but nothing is as fun as what's out currently. And there's a reason that I love them. Also, if you have questions about the paints or anything, leave them in the comments. And I will do my best to answer them. I also never do a color reference sheet the way I did it for last year's color reference sheet, and I'm so happy I did it. It made my life so much easier because it meant that I knew exactly what I had pulled and I knew exactly the order, and it's only, I think, 2 colors that we couldn't find in the studio palette this year, which honestly isn't awful. The studio palette is so massive that the fact that only 2 colors are MIA, and honestly are probably somewhere in the rest of the studio, is not all that bad. I'll take 2 colors being missing over how many colors are normally missing when I do a project like this. I think we're just going to do variations of palette order. Ah, shit. I bumped the camera with my forehead. Sorry about that. Wait. Nope, that's the wrong sheet. Okay, yep, that's right. Cool. They need to be a little bit skinnier. How many was I fitting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I was fitting 8 full trees. Yeah, I have definitely haven't been doing that on any this year. So these are just trees with a bit more personality than last year's trees. They're just taking up a little bit more space. The nice thing about this event on this next weekend is that it's both small businesses and individual consumers. And so it's both an event where I take wholesale orders normally and then orders for individuals. So we have two price lists, which is the wholesale price list and the like individual patrons price list. Which I do like an event that caters to more than one type of consumer. If I'm going to vend somewhere. And the green we're just throwing in over here is also going to be our first tree over here. But these little trees over here are going to become this is our remnant. So this is going to become gift tags. Which I sort of love. There's no waste in these projects. Row 1 done. All right, there we go. So undersea green is our first. It's also the first color that really needs to be worked. The PY, I believe it's PY 148. No, PY 48 in it. I love it. It makes a very clumpy green. And I find that across brands. Greens that include it tend to be clumpier. I like that tree. It's got personality, which is what we want. Boring trees are boring. The other thing I really like about this event is it's always between my birthday and the Royal Winter Fair. And so I sort of get to get it done with before other events that we sort of get through one event and then I get to do this event and then I get to go to a big event and have a couple days where I don't have to think about Christmas cards. And normally I have a stash left over. And so I don't actually have to make that many come December normally. Last year I did. Last year I had a bunch of December wholesale orders, but normally I'm done Christmas cards come like late November. And then it's just you get to enjoy all the fun Christmas stuff like baking and time with family. Oh, I quite like this panel. Hello. Welcome to me not being stressed out because I still have plenty of time. I tell myself, lying to myself, that these cards totally don't have to be done by Thursday. Plenty of time. And I still have a bunch of panels left to paint. But we're going to pretend that I don't have a bunch of panels left to paint and that I'm, ahead of schedule this year, which I'm not. I'm behind schedule. But it happens. But Mom pulled from the studio palette this morning. Shit. Shit. Where's? Oh, thought this looked like the wrong color. Let's see how much of this I can lift. So that is supposed to be black green. And what that actually was black grape. And I was looking at it in its pan and going, you aren't the right color. You aren't the right color. But then I was thinking, like, maybe it's been a while since I've looked at it and it looks more purpley in the pan. And then I was like, no. Okay. We're going to let that dry. And then I'm going to cover it with a tree. And we're going to figure out where this color actually goes. Where's this sheet? So it's actually, where is it on the sheet? It's actually this very dark purple. And right now in the color order, oh, she had it in the right spot because I wrote black grape here. It should be black green. That is a me. So where should you actually go? You should actually go down here. I wonder if black green's upstairs. Do I actually care? Is the next question. I do like it. It is a pretty green. By any chance, is it on this palette? On the floor over here. It's not. It would be an upstairs trip. Yeah, I don't want to go upstairs and find it. I don't want to do that. So, we're not going to. I also don't know where my heat gun is. Normally I just dry the page with the heat gun, but I don't know where my heat gun is. So, actually it's almost dry. I guess we will wet this line. I'm going to give it a little bit more space than I want to, in what might be an awkward space. And actually, I'm going to leave a space there because I'm going to find the green that actually needs to go there. Because it is upstairs. I know it is. I saw it earlier and thought, it's odd that you aren't in the palette. Well, but I guess you're not because I don't see you on the sheet. And in actuality, what happened was, my notes were wrong. Which is why I don't make swatch sheets. Because all it takes is one mistake on a giant swatch sheet like that. And the issue is that it becomes very apparent. There we go. I love it too. So I don't know that they're still around. It was from a company called Nibs Watercolor. I think she closed her shop because of the tariffs. She was a British shop and she just couldn't survive the US tariffs, which is so sad because she made terrific paints. But she's not the only shop I know that couldn't survive the tariff situation. And I am so grateful to have them because it granulates out with this gray. And it's such a pretty color. So what I like about this project in particular is that it at this point has a quite set palette because I've done this for a couple years. So if you look at this tree, it like granulates out purplish gray. I love it. She made some of my favorite paints in the industry. And what I actually love about this palette is that I created for cards is that it was all of my favorite colors that really I never got to use together. So it was like all of the things that I adored, but maybe just didn't on a normal painting, like didn't make sense to use together. So I put them all into this Christmas card palette of like unconventional Christmas card colors. Because also they're fun. I'm a big fan of fun Christmas card colors. Like, there are so many boring Christmas cards. Or like Christmas cards that look basically the same. And the nice thing about these is that even if you buy a set, which lots of people do, they'll look like they belong together. But every card will be different. And last year I did a set of Tiny Tree Christmas cards. So I did an entire panel like this that was just tiny trees. I haven't done a tiny tree panel this year. I don't know that I will do a tiny tree panel this year. Part of me wants to because it is so much fun. But we'll see where I'm at in like 72 hours. And that's the thing about them, is that they've always been, because they're meant to look like pine trees, they can have a bit more personality. Because if you look at pine trees in the wild, they do have quite a lot of personality. These have phthalo blue in them, and so they're just not moving because phthalo blue likes to sit on the page and not move. My ring light's still twisted around. That's why there's no light. All right. Row 3. Every pine tree does have a personality. I also can't get this block of paper anymore in this size, which is bothersome because I love painting Christmas cards on this size because I can get every one of these big sheets is 4 Christmas cards and is 12 Christmas cards and I think 12 gift tags. So it's not a bad production when it's all said and done. But it works really well in this size of paper. The math works really well in this size of paper. And the math works less well in other sizes of paper. And I like doing these in blocks because it is so much wet work. And I can't get this as a block anymore. So I don't know what I'm going to do next year or for the rest of this year because I've only got like 6 sheets left. And I think, hopefully, I'm going to run out of paper at some point. I have to say, Christmas cards are the only time I want to run out of paper. Yeah, so it only comes in smaller blocks. This is or I've only been able to find it in smaller blocks on Amazon. Because, of course, that is the only place I can find this paper currently. I believe this is like, what size is this even? This is a 15 by 10.2 inch block, which is such an awkward size of block. And I hated it at first. And then I discovered that actually it's perfect for Christmas cards because it makes so many, every panel makes so many cards. And so now I love it. But of course, I can't get it anymore. So we'll have to see what I decide to do for the rest of cards once I run out of this paper. I've got a whole bunch of different papers. I'm actually not stuck for papers. It's just like I like painting on this block because it's a block, which is nice for wet on wet cards because it holds everything together. And B, it makes a lot of cards per panel, so it feels really productive. Like, it's not like you're painting 4 panels at a time. Yeah, so they do sheets, they do rolls. I then have to just figure out how to keep everything flat, which is the nice thing about the block, is that it's glued on 4 sides with just a tiny little slit for me to use a knife to get in. And so it works really well for this sort of project because everything stays flat. I think it's over here, right here. There's like an inch that it's not glued. so that you can peel it off. So really, there are ways to deal with it. They just aren't convenient ways to deal with it. And in turn, I have not found a solution to my problem. Because I like the current solution, and I'm just hoping they bring them back into stock so that I can just buy another one of these blocks. Because I really like them. But I know that there are lots of people in the States that right now can't even get this paper, so I should be grateful that I can even get the paper right now. Because I have lots of friends that can't even order this paper right now. Let's grab some of this. The fact that we're not even like halfway through this color palette's crazy. One can hope. Oh, I love that color. What I love about this color is depending on how much it gets touched, different colors come out. So it's very green where I've been touching it a lot. All right. I like how my trees were very thin and skinny, and now they're not. And I'd like them to go back to being thin and skinny. It's a better look for these trees. There we go. Oh. My colors have dried out. Or maybe I didn't wet the bottom half. So I thought it was going to take me a while to get to them. It's only taken me 35 minutes to get to the bottom half of the palette. Right. Row 3. Row 5. Nope. Row 4. I can't count. That tracks. That tracks. Right. The ends always get, or this end always gets a little tree because I know that there's going to be some salvage and it's going to become gift tags, but I don't know how much or what is going to become salvage, and so I always need a little bit of wiggle room. Have I fit 8 trees on 8 full trees? Nope. Cool. I still haven't fit 8 full trees on any of these panels. So my spacing for cutting these might be off. We will see how off they are when it comes to actually cutting these. That's when we'll find out how off they are. They're off slightly at least. I just don't quite know how to get the spacing to be right. I'm also, this flat brush is never going to be a normal flat brush again. I'm embracing that fact because it makes nice little branches. So it will continue to be my branches brush. I like that I pulled a whole bunch of brushes and I'm not using any of them other than this one brush. And it's non-broken pair. So what I like about these cards is that they get glittered and they look Christmassy. And then, they sort of stand out on a mantle because they do look Christmassy once they've been glittered and everything. But they're not red and green. I do have the Christmas bauble cards from last year. I've got some leftovers, and so I don't think I'm making any new ones this year. I did think about it. I do really like them. They're a fun card to make. They're one of my favorite cards to paint because they are so much fun to paint, but I just don't need to paint them, and so my time is better spent painting Christmas cards that are more time consuming. And this is definitely one of those more time consuming projects. I'm wondering if I want to start using where's a liner. Actually, I want a size 1. I don't like this tree. There's just something about it that feels off. That feels better. Where are we? Blueberry. I do love this color. Where am I? I'm here. I keep losing myself in the palette. Oh, these are 2 different colors. For a second I went, these aren't 2 different colors, but no, they are. They just are very, very similar. All right. Ugh. Let's grab clean water. I have to say, the cast album for I think it was the 2022 version of Into the Woods that had Sarah Bareilles, Gavin Cree, Pippa Sue and I think Neil Patrick Harris was in it too, as the baker, ? Is something stunning in life. There's something stunning about this cast album. Because also, I can't do this listening to Christmas music, of course. That would just be too on the nose. Also, like, I rarely start listening to Christmas music before my birthday. Christmas music after my birthday? Totally. But before my birthday? Not so much. Like, some years I don't know. Some years I relax the rule a bit, but it's not cold enough for Christmas music. Honestly. Though we did plant garlic today because there is snow in the 10-day forecast potentially, and so garlic went in this afternoon. The fact that I'm keeping a 12-minute pace is shocking. I don't know that I've ever kept a 12-minute pace painting these before, and I've so far kept a 12-minute pace through all of these, including dealing with that incident a couple rows back that will still have to get fixed, which I'm not quite including because, like, we'll have to go upstairs and search the palette, and I'm not going to include that in the timing. But for everything else, I am shocked. That's crazy. No, so we've had frost. Yes, the grape incident. That has only slightly stained the page. We're getting closer to actually where it's supposed to be. We're like, I think it'll be in this row. I think it'll be at the end of this row. Yeah, but okay, if you're much further south than us, like, you shouldn't have had snow before us. Regardless of if it just faffed around in the air or not. It still occurred. I actually like that one. I thought I was gonna go back and tweak it a little bit. I like it. I need to tweak this playlist. Going from Mary Poppins to Hamilton is a bit too whiplashy, even for me. Still, like, we've only just had frosts that are heavy enough to stick around. And even then, it's like, I don't know, it was -4 when I left for physio a couple mornings ago. It was -4 on Wednesday morning when I left for physio, and that was gross. I was not particularly impressed with that. I wasn't quite ready for that in October. All right, and now we are on the purple that was not where it was supposed to be. Because nothing can be where it's supposed to be. Spacing on this row might be the worst of any of my trees so far. Like, what is going on with this row? Like, they started out really well. And then the spacing at the end is so weird. Whatever. Yeah, so it's at the end of our 10-day that we've got snow on the horizon. So we'll see if that actually happens. I guess this top row, the same thing happened. And here. And here. How was I fitting 8? They're so tiny. Oh, they're so tiny. Oh, shit. I guess I'll finish this panel and then I'll see if I can figure out how to fit 8. Because that's how many you're supposed to be fitting. That's how many I've mathed to fit. No, because the tiny tree panel is like the size of tiny trees for like actual tiny trees. Like the tiny tree panel I did last year, like they were all the size of day 1. Which is why I haven't done one of those panels this year, because you can imagine how long it takes to do a panel like this in 1 inch, less than 1 inch trees with a 000 brush. Like it takes hours. Like hours and hours to do. Which is why I haven't done one this year. I don't know how my math is so wrong this year. That's a me on Thursday problem. That's a Thursday me problem. You're right, it is. I don't know how I've screwed up my math this badly. Because none of my rows have the right number of trees. How have I screwed up my math so badly this year? I'm also gonna need a couple extra colors at the end of this row. So I guess we'll grab from somewhere else. Maybe I started them from the top. Can I pick up paint? Oh, there we go. Some of these colors, like the White Knights, haven't been used in a very long time. Again, whiplash in the playlist. We've now gone to Come From Away from Hamilton. I need to do some tweaking of this playlist. No. Sure, we'll go off of vibe trees. And 3 days from now, where I'm going, how is my math so wrong? I'm just gonna go vibes. My math is so wrong because of vibes. Question now is, how badly do I want to go upstairs and find this green? I think the answer is I don't want to go upstairs and find this green. Which means I'm going to peel this off. And hope that like the page doesn't. Oh, I can't. The page is going to curl if I peel it off wet. All right. So we have to find the heat gun, dry the page. Yeah, last night was not particularly pleasant in our house. I think I would have preferred it had LA pitchers stopped hitting our players. Honestly. I would have been fine with you guys winning had you not continuously hit our batters. Because I think by the end of the game, 4 of our players were out, of our 9 starters were out injured after being hit, which doesn't happen in a normal game. So had that not happened, I think I would have felt better about the game, but it was not a great night in our household. But you know what? They went from being last in the series last year to being second place this year, and so whatever. They played well. Right. So I have 2 trees worth of space. What do I want to stick in here? Let's go up to black grape, which is so funny that I'm throwing in a black grape tree after the frustration it caused an hour ago. Less than an hour ago. But it's a very pretty color, and I think it'll go with what else we already have going on. Again, I still have to go upstairs and find the green that's supposed to belong in that spot because the palettes aren't in the studio right now because a month ago I went, I'm going to put them together again. And then you know what I didn't do? I didn't put the studio palettes together. And so they've been living in the games room. Now they're not in the games room. But it also means they're not in the studio, so it's not like I can just go and grab the color that's missing. What's this? What's this? That was the right choice. So normally the plan is to let it dry on the block so that it dries flat. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna go find the heat gun and we're gonna set it with the heat gun so that I can keep going because it's only 3:40-ish here and I set aside another hour and a bit to paint. I'm gonna take advantage of that fact because I very rarely set aside time properly to paint. All right, let's go find a heat gun. All right. See, the heat gun's awake because the last time I had it out, whatever the surface of, oh, there it is. Whatever the surface of this current desk is melts. And so the last time I was out, I melted the surface of my desk. And so I put the heat gun away because I wasn't using it anymore. But now I need it, clearly. Oh, shit, there's the ceiling. All right. There we go. Oh. All right, let's peel the tape other than the one line I still need. To say the really annoying thing about this project is that all the tape and everything is one use. Because if you get color transfer, it's really obvious. So I try and find space for everything when clearly there is not space for everything in my tiny desk setup. Sure, let's put the brushes on the floor. I need that. I need that. I need that. I had a ruler. That would have sucked. Had I dumped my beads into a glass of water. All right. Let's peel this. We're just leaving this one here so that I can fix that. Yeah, that's a grape incident. And until I go upstairs and I find the color, it's staying put. Unfortunately, my desk is not a self-healing mat. It's wood, but it was finished. It's actually a side table, which tells you just how small my desk is. Right now, though, it's got an IKEA corkboard on it. Where's our little split? There it is. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. I hate taking paper off of a block. I'm gonna try. Ah. Haha. What isn't the Galen leather ruler for? Actually, I believe it's the drafting tool. Actually, I might that. I do. Yeah. Drafting tables are really expensive. Shit. Fuck. This is why I hate blocks. Because we just ripped the page. Which is why the goal is always to have a little bit that can be salvaged. Yeah, it is a painful process. No one, I don't think anyone that makes paper blocks actually uses blocks. I don't use blocks unless I have to use block. They're not pleasant. They're annoying. They rip, trying to get paper off of them. And it's always the last little bit that either goes really well or really poorly. In this case, the side got stuck. So this ripped. And there's no really easy way to fix that. I just sort of have to deal with it. And now we get to do all the math of dividing the page again. Because welcome to paper blocks. Okay. That corner's dented. I want that to be a gift tag. I know you probably can't see what I'm doing, but I've decided it's more important that I can see the ruler than you guys being able to see the ruler. Ew. Yeah, no. My setup involves a lazy boy chair, a card table, and 2 side tables. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna do a space redesign over the winter. It's not, my painting space isn't as practical as I want it, and like overhead filming space isn't as practical as I want it to be. And so I think I'm gonna make some tweaks. What? What? Why? Where? Oh, I was off from the very beginning. Of course it was. Where's my actual eraser? Right here. I might take you up on that offer. It's a very impractical space. It was never meant to be the office space I've turned it into. Like my filming, my desk chatter desk with the wall of inks and my editing station. I actually like that setup. That setup works really well. And there's my 1/2 inch that I was missing. But my painting space is really only, they are not. None of my tables are the same height, which it just adds to the complexity of my space. Is that none of my tables are even remotely close to being the same height. Which, like, it's almost, I remember the first time Kari came over, she was shocked at what my space actually looked like because it doesn't look anything like how it does on camera in reality. It's a very, I would describe it as an unuser-friendly space that I've made into a very user-friendly space, but out of the get-go, not super user-friendly. Space-wise. Because everything's just weird dimensions. Once again, I care more about me being able to see what's going on for this taping process than you guys. Sorry. But momentarily we'll be back to painting. And then you'll be able to see again. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I needed to do. I think the only things furniture-wise we've purchased over the years are this desk is actually desk number 2. The first one was, I believe, 18 inches by 10 inches. It was tiny. This new one is big. It's 22 by 18. So it's not massive, but it's big enough that I can do more. I've got a little bit more space, which is nice. And I've stolen a plant stand from upstairs to be my laptop stand normally. Though today my laptop's actually sitting on one of the tables just so that I have my plant stand to hold watercolor paints. I'm a big fan of adapting a space to fit you. Because oftentimes, if you think about a space enough, you're able to figure out how to make it work, even if it doesn't seem like it's going to work. And that was the case with this space, is it really didn't seem like it was going to work. And then we made it work. And I quite like my office. It's a mess right now, but I quite like my office. But it'll become less of a mess once we're through Christmas cards and everything. And, you know, once life's a little bit more normal. All right. It is. Part of me wants to go upstairs and look for this paint color. Part of me knows that if I go upstairs and look for this paint color, I'm never coming back to paint. So we're not going to do that as much as I want to. As much as I want to. I like that you think butcher blocks in Canada are cheap. They're not. Butcher blocks at the hardware store here are so expensive. Like even secondhand butcher block countertops are hundreds of dollars here. Just wetting down the entire palette. Hello, welcome. Interesting. All right. It is it's an hour and 26 minutes. And we're starting the second round of this. Actually, it's almost an hour 27. We'll call it an hour 26. I want to just do this with a round. Let's begin. So it is an hour 27 when the first paint is hitting this page. So it should be 2 hours and 40, no, 50 something. That's a wonky tree. Right off the gate. That's a wonky tree. make it work, but boy, is that a wonky tree. All right. All right. So for this one, we are alternating colors. So I did 1, I'm going to do 3. It just means that no panel is the same, which has always been what I've said, is that no 2 cards on the table are going to be identical. And I really try to keep to that. Things might be similar, but nothing's going to be identical on the table. So you're going to be able to build a set, but nothing's going to... Five. Damn. I need the green. Guess I could text Mom. See if she's still gardening or if she's inside. I don't even know where my phone is. What's going on with this tree? All right. Ooh, that's an idea. Again, it's not a big space. Let's voice to text Mom. Are you inside? Question mark. If so, comma, would you please grab black grape, green from the palette? Yeah, I caught myself that I said grape, not green, and I fixed it. Clearly, I'm thinking about that color because it's been a nightmare today. Because, you know, it's caused a whole bunch of issues. I doubt she's still gardening, though she might be. It's still sunny. When I left her, she was tackling strawberry plants. But I decided to grow outside of the strawberry bed and into everything else. Sort of want to add some Anyway, the good news is that it's going to be here. I think she's still outside. All right. So, one. Out of curiosity, because I keep it's very prominent in this playlist for whatever reason. How many people actually know the musical Come From Away? Because as a Canadian, I think almost all of us know it. But is it a thing in other countries? There. We'll just toss a tree in there. I'm also going to turn off my phone because clearly she's outside. Come From Away. It's a musical. Is it a thing in other countries or is it just a Canadian thing? Like, I know it had a run on Broadway. I think it won some Tonys. I think it's currently on West End. But, like, I think there are lines in Come From Away you can quote that most Canadians know that are just like a reference to Canadian pop culture. Okay. Interesting. We saw it. We actually saw it as a family one Thanksgiving. We went to Come From Away, and then I believe we had Chinese food. It was Grandma and Grandpa's Christmas present to us all one year. It was fun. Come From Away. Which brings me here. What am I? Oh, I'm hitting my shuffle. That's what I'm doing. For those of you that were wondering if the shuffle continued to live, it does, and it's great. It's my new thing when I'm painting and stuff because I don't have to worry about batteries dying as quickly or stuff being interrupted because of calls or getting distracted with like texts and emails when I go to change a song. Oh, I love the shuffle. I'm glad I revived my shuffle. It's a great musical. I have friends that saw it multiple times. I only saw it during its original run in Toronto. But I would gladly go and see it again because it is an excellent musical. And again, in my group of friends, there are things that there are quotes from songs that we will reference to each other because they are very Canadian culture. which doesn't happen in a lot of musicals. There are very few Canadian musicals. I grew up watching a lot of Canadian TV, but I think Come From Away was the first Canadian musical I was introduced to. Oh, you should. It is such a good cast album. It is a truly spectacular cast album. If not, I know you can stream the songs on YouTube with ads. It is probably one of my top 4 cast albums. That's amazing. Mine has not survived a washing machine because it's never been put through a washing machine, but I do have a Nano where we think I was the 3rd child in the family to have it. That it went through both of my older cousins before it got to me as a Christmas gift. And it has stickers on it, and my issue is I need to find one of the old 30-pin cables to try and get it to work again. But I am really enjoying having the shuffle working. I've never had Spotify, so I've never had access to more music than what I own, or what I can stream on YouTube. But I am really enjoying having access to, oh shit, where was I? 1, 2, 3, I'm here. Like, they're a great little device, and it didn't take me that long to, it charged for maybe 2 hours after not being plugged in for at least 6 years, and then it just, like, booted back up. So I have a Touch still. Again, don't know if the Touch works. The Touch is, like, a 2nd gen Touch, and I have the Shuffle that is working currently. I have to say, like, I think I was 13 or 14 when I bought my Shuffle. I bought it from a neighbor's kid who was selling it. I'm very sure they weren't supposed to be selling their Shuffle. I bought it from them, and I wanted it for camp because we weren't allowed to have screens on devices at camp. But we were still allowed to have devices that played music so long as they didn't have a screen. And so many of us had Shuffles because this was our workaround. And I think I paid like $40 for my Shuffle. And I'm so happy I did because it's great. And the neighbor's kid I bought it from was significantly older than me. So it wasn't like I was, scamming a small child out of money. It was, how much older was she than me? 4 years, I think. It's great though. It was a great investment that 13 or 14-year-old me made in my music experience as an adult. Because also the Shuffle batteries last for like 15 hours. So I only have to charge it, and I'm not listening to 15 hours straight of music when I paint, so I only have to charge it like twice a week right now, which is also a great deal. I find the same thing in big cities. My phone when we were in New York was dying so quickly. And I was so glad that I had so many charging banks with me. I don't know if it's just because like I was using Google Maps and it's so much harder to use Google Maps when you're around so many buildings or what, but it was crazy how quickly my phone was dying. We're gonna do another one in that purple because it didn't really get a full tree. I like it too. So this is a Cosmic Creations purple. I want to say I color formulated it. I might be wrong there, but I feel like it feels like something that I would have color formulated. And it feels like a name that I would have come up with, which would be correct if I'd color formulated it. So I'm gonna have to check with Laura because I'm pretty sure it is one of mine. It's called Violet Horizon. And that's very me for color formulation. And I do really like it. I'm also working on a pretty massive Atlas order because we've only got, I posted about it today. Atlas is redoing their affiliate system for next year. And so if people want to use the 10% off, they've only got a couple more weeks. But in turn, it also means I've only got a couple more weeks to use up my credit. And so I'm trying to decide what I might order. I'm leaning towards one of the new pilots, like the purple that just came out, because it is a very me color. I was so excited, and it was LinkedIn, not mom. I think the answer is she's still outside, and I'm gonna have to go and get it. Yeah, that one. I know that they're dealing with a lot of orders right now. Brian has said that it is the busiest they've ever been with orders. And based on how busy the Discord and stuff is these days, I believe it. So the 10% off will end for me and I think all the affiliates. Anyone I've talked to got the same email. It ends on December 31st. So you've got a couple more weeks. starting to put together a potential order for what I might spend credit on. I thought I was going to save it up for the Chicago Pen Show, but it's got to be spent by the middle of January, so we'll see what I end up getting. See, so my question, in some pictures it actually looks purplish, and in some pictures it looks white. Is it actually purple, or is it white? Because I want it if it's purplish, but I don't want it if it's white. Ooh, I'm sorry. That sucks. They're pretty good at fixing orders. I've had 2 orders over the years that have had issues. One was an ink that when I opened it and swatched it, it was a totally different color than it was supposed to be. And I knew what color it was supposed to be because I already had a bottle of the color that I was replacing because I was almost done the bottle. And then the second happened recently, but they've sent the replacement and I just will get it at some point. Probably next year at this point, but because I don't know the next time I'll be in the States for a pen show to pick it up. And I had sent it to Tori from Stationery Universe, who had brought it up to Scriptus, which is where I discovered that it wasn't the right thing. But it's fixed, and the right one's now with Tori, and so I just have to wait until I actually see Tori or Francisco or somebody from the team. Ooh, yeah. See, there are moments that I'm like, yeah, you can totally be nitpicky, and that's one of them. Like, there are some quality control issues that just aren't okay. It's like the there are some quality control things that just aren't okay, and in my head that's one of them because it's such an expensive pen for that to be happening to. Luckily though, like the Coles of London team is pretty good. And so hopefully they'll be able to get it fixed fast. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get an email back at first, and so I called. And I have to say, like, I often find that with anyone's customer service department, if you call, you're probably better off. When we're here. So I called and they got it fixed within like 45 minutes of me calling. But I know not everyone wants to talk on the phone to people, and so not everyone's going to call. But I am always happy to call because sometimes things get dealt with much faster. Yeah, I don't know what the hours are when you call, but I called like Tuesday afternoon. Yes, he was who ended up getting my issue fixed as well. I also think like customer service is not an easy job to work. And depending on the issue, like sometimes you do have to follow up. And I've had that in so many industries that sometimes you just have to follow up on a customer service thing. Ooh, yeah. that isn't okay. Oop, we're back to black grape. I am shocked to hear that. I've always had good experience actually calling and talking to somebody. Where am I? I am here. Yeah, I think the only frustration with this recent order was that they didn't offer to. Normally, when I've had an issue, they've offered to ship it to me in Canada, and they didn't offer this time. I've since found out that they could only ship it to a US address. So I will just pick it up from Stationery Universe whenever I next see her at a pen show, which will be sometime next year. It just means I have to wait a little bit longer for what was going to be my birthday present to myself. So I'll end up getting something else. I think that's probably fair. I have a similar policy with brands and organizations. Oh, Mom isn't inside. Which means we get to do that green tree. So far I have put the Franklin Christoph DC Pen Show ink in it. I think the next ink is actually going to be an ink and nib change. I'm going to put in my Kirkspire Architect into it, which is a fine architect. And then I think I'm going to put Yamabudo in it. It's such a pretty pen, though. It is probably one of my favorite. I was going to say it's one of my favorite editions this year. That's come out this year. And I think it definitely is. Like, it's just such a pretty colorway. But I do want to switch up the nib on it. I do like a fine nib. I've been enjoying the fine. I just want to throw in something a bit different. And I do have some really great custom grinds. And so once I run it dry, which is probably not going to be until Christmas time, I need to decide what to put into it. Fair enough. So I had assumed that this year my birthday present to myself was going to be the Raiden VP. And then I started using it way before my birthday. And so I then bought myself the Traveler's Love in a Trip cover from Atlas. Oh, thank you. You have a handful of stuff.
Well, without swatches, Russian black.
No, Russian green.
Sorry, Russian green. Fine black?
No. It's literally called Black Green.
Oh, who's it by?
Rosa Galleries.
I didn't see that part. I brought you what I felt were blackish greens. Or things that could be blackish greens.
I love you.
I love you too. I feel you are mocking me. Rosa Galleries, black green. I'll text you if I don't find it.
Thanks. So it's a fine on the Conklin PM5 right now. It's a fine nib, but the architect grind I have is a fine architect grind. So it's an architect but done on a fine nib. So it's a quite sharp and small architect. And so I think that's the next nib going into this pen. See, my birthday's always just after Halloween. So I always get myself something. I started it in high school, getting myself something that I really liked for my birthday. Last year, I got myself a Pilot Decimo on affiliate credit at Atlas. This year, I had assumed I was getting myself the pen from Goldspot that I ended up getting on affiliate and blog credit. And now and then I ordered myself the Love in a Trip red edition from Atlas. Yeah. So Kirkspire does a nice architect. He does his angle specific. And the thing I like about Annabelle's is that you set your own angle, so it's perfect for your hand. And so I set my architect angle perfectly for my hand. And then the nib that I'm actually putting in the Conklin is a nib that Kirk made me to match Annabelle's nib. Angle-wise, because my angle is, I think, what did somebody say last week my angle was at Scriptus? I think somebody said my angle is like 55 degrees.
Rose galleries, Blackberry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
People say hi.
Did you know there's a big bug on your cup?
Fuck. No.
Okay, don't swear while you're doing Christmas cards. It's bad luck. I think it's just a pine beetle. They bought it a pine beetle.
People are saying hi. All right, I now have the green. So let's be really annoying. Let's go back to the very beginning and fix this from the top. Oh. And fix the other sheet as well, because why not? Yes, Annabelle is a shortbread fiend. Annabelle adores shortbread. Shit, how did I screw this up? Fuck. I skipped a color. Well, now I'm skipping it again. Because it's gonna screw with me to not skip it again. Love that for me. It's like, if I put this back in where it's supposed to be, this is really gonna screw with things. Sure, that was a line. I always think about offering the ability to personalize Christmas cards. But then I think, like, do I really want to at this sort of event? Like, what are people's opinions on personalization offerings at events? All right. Let's deal with the grape incident first. So the nice thing about Annabelle is that her architect testers are never going to be right for your hand. Which isn't super nice, but they're never going to be right for your hand because they're set for a very specific angle, and you set your own angle. So I would say her architects are never, I didn't even test her architects before getting them. I just asked her for an architect because I knew I liked an architect nib, and I knew I wanted my angle to be as perfect for my hand as possible. I'm gonna sound like an awful friend here. I don't know what her signature grind is because the only grind I get from Annabelle is her architect, which I now have on a number of pens. And this is how we're gonna save this line, is we're actually gonna wet this entire line. All right. That is the thing. This is a community of people that would potentially actually be willing to make it worth my time. Shit. Well, we'll fix that branch after. A lot of places it wouldn't be worth it for me to offer personalization. At this event, it might actually be worth it if I can figure out a setup I like for personalization, because it's a crowd that's already used to spending money at this sort of event, and B, I also take wholesale orders at this event. So it's not a bad thing to show off that I do personalization. But I am still undecided. Last year I decided not to and did fairly well without offering personalizations. But everything's slower this year. And so that has me open to the idea of at least offering envelope personalizations with a waterproof black brush pen. Like, if people want addresses personalized. Shit, I was gonna go back and do that after. We'll go back and do it after. Honestly, it's too late for that. It's too late for that. Where are we at? We're That is a good point. Like, so that's the thing. I can always take, I don't know that I'll personalize with watercolors, which I have done in the past. Like, I have personalized in the past with gold and silver watercolors and lettered onto cards. That's really stressful. And I don't know that I have it in me to do that right now. A, because it's stressful and everything else. But maybe I'll offer envelope personalization because that is A, not that hard, and B, a fun upgrade. And doesn't take all that much time. It probably adds another like 2 minutes a card. And not everyone's going to want it. I forgot how much easier it was to paint from this palette. I'm sort of angry I procrastinated for so long pulling this palette out. Because it's so much easier to paint from. Because you don't have to think about grabbing colors, you're just like grabbing colors. Because right now we're alternating. And then we'll do every third. I don't even know what time it is. Where are we at? 4:50. It's not that bad. I think I need to pull out a script brush for doing my lines down. I also sort of can't believe we're already in Christmas card season. It doesn't feel like that long since I was doing this last year. Like, it doesn't feel like that long since I was last doing this. And yet, apparently, it's been an entire year. I painted so many hundreds of Christmas cards last year that I sort of can't believe that we're already back to Christmas card season. This tree is so ugly. I hate this tree. What happened here? What happened? I know for the people that buy cards wholesale for me, their plan's always to have them out by December 1st. So for them, like, it's a pretty strict deadline. Me getting cards to them. Because they also need time to add any of their extras. The funny thing is, I make all these cards and I send maybe 3 Christmas cards, if that. I make hundreds and I send none. I'm lost. Where am I? I'm here. I've just never been a big sending Christmas cards person. Like I'll send a couple every year, but never more than a couple. I'm also trying to decide. Somebody asked today if I was going to have pens for sale at the event as well. And so I have to decide if I'm destashing pens, and if so, which ones are going up for sale. Like I've got a little bit of a sale pile, but I might decide to put up a couple more for sale. And you know, if they sell, they were meant to sell. But if I'm selling pens, then maybe I should also destash some inks and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see how organized I get this week. Right now, I don't feel particularly organized. It also might be a split-second decision on the morning of the event. That I'm suddenly like, you know what? I'm going to sell inks and pens. Because I know Tori from Stationery Universe, they've been destashing at pen. I think it's her and her mom have both been destashing at pen shows this year. And I am, you know, considering there's some stuff I could part with and be okay with that. Because it's just not getting love in my collection. And if I'm not using it, why am I keeping it? Sort of my philosophy when it comes to pens, unless I'm keeping them for a very specific reason. There are a couple pens that I keep around for research purposes, so that I've got a full set of something at every price point. If it's a brand that has a bunch of price points. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I think Mom is the most organized of all of us when it comes to Christmas cards. Mom and Grandma are quite good at Christmas cards, and then I'm sort of like, if it happens, it happens, and if not, well, I tried. And you know what? Sometimes it just doesn't happen. And sometimes it doesn't happen due to no fault of my own. Like last year, Canada Post was on strike. And that, you know, has a big impact on stuff. So I've got a couple Monteverde pens, because as much as I love their pens, at this point I have like 3 to 4 colors in some of the models, and I don't need that many colorways in the same pen. So I'm keeping, in most pens, I'm keeping my favorite 2, and the others are going up for sale. Because, again, I want to keep my favorite pens, but I don't need 4 of the same pen. The other pens that are going up for sale are, there's a couple from Ferris Wheel Press. There's an Esterbrook that I'm not using. Where's this color? Which is one of the what's it called? Ebonite ones. And then the rest are just like less expensive pens. But we'll see. I don't know that I'm gonna put them up for sale next weekend at this event. I might. I'm really only considering it because somebody asked if I was gonna have pens at the event. And so I'm like, well, maybe I should bring pens. I wasn't planning on it, but like, maybe I should. Where are we? Oh, we're almost done the second panel of today. Oh, we are one tree from being done. Oh no, we've got one up there. I'm like, we're one tree from being done. I am so close. Oh. There we go. All right. Right. Much like the other one, we're just gonna sort of wet this down all the way across. And just like that, one panel, two panels are done. And I think, what does that bring us to? That brings us to a total of 5 panels this year, which isn't, I'd like to get 1 to 2 more done, just so I've got a little bit more of a buffer in case anything happens when cutting. I want to have a little bit more of a buffer, but that isn't a bad spot to be ending. That's and that one's already dry. All right. I think that's where we're going to end it today. And tomorrow, probably, tomorrow's Monday. So yeah, probably tomorrow, I will paint another 2 panels. That only took 2.5 hours. Shocking. They take so much longer using the other palette. I need to make a note of that for next year. They're so much faster if I'm just pulling from the color palette I already know. So we will continue with this palette, and I will return the cookie sheet upstairs that Mom had put the paints on to start with. But thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and I hope you have a good rest of your